sometimes I can look at people and try to write something by what the vibe I get from them. But, my career basically has been playing with everybody else. So I don't get a chance to write a lot of stuff because I'm too busy learning other people's music.
Yeah.
But as far as the writing, it all depends. It all depends on, like what I hear at the moment, by, like I said, by looking at somebody or playing with a band that we struck up some groove one night and all of a sudden, like the keyboard player or the bass player played a certain bass pattern or a certain riff, and it caused you to go down another alley. Well, then that other alley, it goes into a writing mode where you put, like a bridge to a song and things like that. But I don't have a particular key or anything like that. I mean, even just with the way I tune my drums, it's not a particular key or thing. I just tune the drums in thirds. I hear things in thirds as far as from the drum chair. And the writing is just open.
Dennis had his album out of his music that he composed himself, in case you guys didn't know that.
I think it's a couple albums, right? You had a question. Well,
Oh boy.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, with Scofield history, Gary Grainger is the one that got me in the band, right? And I was playing with a band called Special Effects at the time when we were in San Francisco. Gary with Scofield was coming from Japan. We ended up at the same hotel in an elevator going down, or Gary was in the elevator going down while I was going up. Door open, Gary standing there, and what are you doing here? He's asking me what I'm doing there, blah, 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 blah. He brings Scofield over to the gig where we were playing, where they were playing the day after us. Scofield sees me, he asked me to play, to do the recording, right? So we had somewhat like a week of rehearsals, and then we played at the Blues Alley for about a few days, and then we went to the studio to record that record. Now,
different keyboard.
With a different keyboard player, because the keyboard player at the time was supposed to be Kenny Kirkland, who never made it to rehearsals. The day of the show at Blues Alley, he flew in Mitch Foreman, and Mitch Foreman read everything and killed it. I mean, he played it better than we played it, right? So that's the way that went down. So for me, it's like, as far as rehearsals went, Scofield, he had sketches, or he had a sketch of what the songs were. But he never told Gary what to do. He never told me what to do. It's just that if he didn't like what he heard, then he says, hey, can we do something different here? And, I like those kind of writers that allow the band or allow the musicians to create their own things, or create their own vibe in the music. And that's why bands sound like a band when that happens. When you have one writer who's like writing everything, and he's going to dictate to you, like, you got to do this, you got to do that. That it don't sound like a band. It just sounds like some music with one idea on it, right? That's the reason why all those groups like Toto, they sounded the way they sounded, because they all contribute to this thing. Scofield, we all contribute to what that was. McLaughlin, when I played with him, we all contribute to what that was, right? So, and even for me, with Funkadelic, Parliament-Funkadelic, I mean, George never told me what to do, but I just knew what the mission was. I can't go nuts. I can't. It wasn't about the Dennis Chambers show playing with Parliament-Funkadelic. It was about, the mission was, this is a funk band. You got to learn how to, play the best groove as possible. Forget about all that other wild and crazy stuff, like trying to be Billy Cobham. Leave all that behind there. It's important, but that's not what Funkadelic was about. To be coming in there, learning what the drum chair was, and you do that. But, even with George, he never told anybody what to do. Just, here's the music, find your way through it. I love that. George Duke was unbelievable at that. Right? So But then you get some musicians, man, you walk up in certain spots and they want to tell you how to breathe, tell you how to live, tell you what and how to play, whoever their favorite musician is or was, they want to tell you to do that, and that happens with a lot of local musicians. When that happens, there's no growth in that, as far as trying to be a musician. Yeah, there may be, it's always to keep your ears open and you learn things, about how, a person works and and so forth, that may help you to be a better leader when it's time to be a leader. You don't want to be a dictator, you don't be a dictator, right? And you learn those things by playing with a person that's a dictator. So there you have it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of a follow-up. So we hit on what I've wondered for years. You figure you go to a recording studio, you have, here's the layout of a song. And you do you, and it comes together. Now that's seeming to me like that's part of the creation process of creating a song. But when you see the liner notes, it says, Dennis Chambers wrote that. And well, wait a minute, did he tell the bass player to do these things?
Let me explain this. That is very true, what you said. Try to imagine Miles Davis trying to tell Herbie Hancock or Tony Williams, or any of those musicians. Try to figure out if Coltrane told Elvin how to play, or McCoy Tyner how to play. No, I mean he people like that, they bring people in because they know that they're monstrous players and they're gonna just use their ears, and that's what it's all about when you're a musician. You have to use your ears, and then you have to have common sense, like how to play, certain music, certain way, and you have to be disciplined, learn discipline. This is one of the things it's missing right now with a lot of younger musicians. The younger musicians today, they wanna play as fast as possible. They wanna play, they wanna stick like 1,000 beats in one bar. And it's all about them. Because like today, the way things is shown on YouTube, it's about an artist. It's not about groups anymore, basically. Or, think about this, the Grammys. How many groups you see on the Grammys? You always see a single artist, right? Right, so the management, they get an artist, that's gonna lead something, and then they put a band together. And here lately, what I've been seeing is they put a band together, and then they pre-record some music, and now the musician is a prop now. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, when you hire me, you're gonna pay me. Right. You hire any one of us, you gotta pay us. Well, if I'm not gonna name any names, but situations have happened to me where several big artists that called me to do something, and when I found out what it was paying, I said no, right? And the reason two reasons, because I couldn't see myself joining this unit. And now you gotta play to a sequencer. What the audience see and hear, or what they hear, is they hear the sequence parts. Because you're mimicking. You're just back there doing the motions, so now you're a prop. They don't wanna pay you to do that. So I said no. But the way things are going right now, and musicians are the ones that's using this bullcrap. Musicians are putting musicians out of business.
Yeah.
And nobody talks about this shit, and it pisses me off. Musicians are putting musicians out of business. I mean, because nobody but the musician is using these tools. And I'm not saying there's something wrong with the tools, but there's something wrong with the way how you use them. Just like YouTube is a great invention. It can be a crutch and it can be a hinder and a crutch. YouTube, thanks to YouTube, the way people use it,
a musician, a young musician learn how to play music or learn how to play the instrument because of YouTube. They don't know how to play music. Because when they sit and watch it, all they see is and hear is a solo. I can't tell you how many times somebody had approached me and says, man, you gotta check out this guy. And they sent it to me, and as soon as I click it, it's just a solo. What happened that led up to that solo? They had to play something, right? But YouTube or the person that's filming it, and I've had this happen, I don't know how many times, I walk out on the bandstand and all of a sudden I see cameras up like this, right? I sit behind the drum kit and the cameras go down, and then the band start, with Victor Wooten or whoever we're playing, and then all of a sudden drum solo. It's weird, man. It's like I look out the audience and I see these shiny things in front of people's faces. And they miss the beauty because instead of looking at this big room, they're looking at the room from their camera, which is like a little screen, watching. And the same thing with all the other musicians when they take solos, that's what happens. So then they go home and put that crap on YouTube. And for the young musician, they think that playing music, that's what it's all about. Because that's all they say is a solo. I had somebody that asked me, why should I take my instrument out of my basement, go to a club, set the instrument up, and do a jam, get paid a little bit of nothing or whatever have you, and I can just stay in my room, in my basement, turn the camera on and film it and post it on YouTube and get likes. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Because it's like doing that, you're not playing with musicians. You're not playing with other musicians. So therefore, if you're not playing with other musicians, how are you gonna make music? So by the time they get with some guys to play something, they're playing all over the place. And I'm 66 years old and my phone is still ringing like crazy. And tomorrow I have to go to Istanbul, right? I'm all over the place, but thanks to the younger guys who, they get certain gigs and they get kicked out of the situation because they don't know how to play music because nobody's explaining it to them, that you gotta be disciplined. It ain't about you. I know who I am, but when I'm playing with a group of people, when I walk into a room, a studio, or a hall, or a stadium, it's not about me. My name is not on the marquee. I'm part of the picture that's going to make this a great situation for the listeners and the audience. And that's what the younger musicians don't know about. Nor do they really care. They don't care. They don't care to do any history, to find out like what came. It's like whoever their favorite musician is. They don't care to learn like who inspired that guy. Because if you learn, if whoever your favorite musician is, if you click to the left or the right of the screen, you may get a history lesson. But they won't do that because, I hate to say it, they're too lazy. For a better word. They're too lazy, right? Or they're too ignorant to know that if you click on the left or right of that screen, you may get a history lesson. You may find out, like where this guy came from, and this musician didn't invent the slice of bread, or didn't invent this service. Case in point, everybody know who Billy Cobham is, right?
Yeah.
How many people know who Billy Cobham is? Raise your hand. Wow, that's good, because a lot of classes I've been in, few people raise their hand, but if I say, how many people know Simon Phillips? Everybody rose their hand, right? Well, a lot of people don't know, if it wasn't for Billy Cobham, you wouldn't be no Simon Phillips, right? And I'm not going to get deep into that, but it's just that the ignorance of young people, they're fooled very quickly because they just don't do any history. They don't do their homework to go back and just do research and find out what makes things work, what makes who that person is, to make him who he is, and to understand. If you go and listen to if you go listen to Billy Cobham, or you go listen to like Tony Williams, then you can hear the concept of like Billy Cobham and so forth and so forth and so forth, right? So that's all I would say about that.